My name is Ryan Soroyce Heller. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story. So, when I was 18, I began to have sex for money. I would go online and I would meet guys on AOL, because that kind of dates the story a little bit. I would go on to AOL. This is pre-Grindr, pre-Tinder, pre-Facebook. This is like old school online hookups, and I was riding that wave. So I would meet guys in chat rooms on AOL. And I get a message one night from this man. His screen name was Global something. I don't remember, but Global something. And he offers to pay me $600 to fuck me up the ass. And at this point in my life, I was at the very onset of a 14-year drug addiction. I was broken. I was extremely promiscuous, trying to understand who I was, my sexuality. I hated myself. I hated myself for being gay. I hated myself for feeling awkward and strange and like an outcast everywhere I went. So I did this. I agreed to meet this guy at a motel off State Road 84. And what I remember most is getting ready in my parents' bathroom. They clearly did not know what was going on, but I remember being fixated on my hair. I wanted to perfect every detail of my hair to build the right persona for that night, because that's what I did in my life. For many years, I had to put on a mask to be anywhere, whether it was to go have sex with somebody online or to go to a coffee shop and order a coffee. I was not okay with me. So I had to project this image of somebody else. And that night, I was like this mysterious, sexy, like man of the night. Or like whatever, I don't know, like a hustler? I was like a hustler or like a hooker. I was a hooker, I think, for the night. I was a hooker, let's just call it what it is. So I looked the part, I felt the part, I smelled the part, and I was driving on I-75, approaching 595, and all of a sudden I hear duk-duk, 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 and I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Because I was so with it. I'm smoking pot, naturally, and it gets worse. And I'm like, maybe I should pull over. So I pull over on the side of the highway, and I realize my tire's been completely destroyed and teared up. And I've been driving on my rim about 80 miles an hour on the highway, which is now pretty destroyed. And all of a sudden, Global calls my Nokia cellular phone. And he says, "Where are you?" And I'm like, in my sexiest manner, I'm on the side of the highway. My tire's flat. He says, "Pull over into the 84 Diner, which is down the street. Let me help you out." So I pull in, and I park, and out of a navy blue BMW comes Global. And he was the most approachable, friendliest man, not what I had expected at all. Wearing a pinstripe blue and white button-down shirt, tucked into his fitted jeans with his brown leather belt and his brown loafers, and he shakes my hand and he says, "I'm blah, blah, blah," whatever his name was. And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Here's my flat tire. So he asks me, do I know how to change a tire? And I'm like, no. And I still don't know how to change a tire. So he proceeds to jack up my car, and change my tire. And I swear, with every jack of that thing, the jack, whatever you call it, the I feel the mask, the armor just melting down like wax, because Ryan starts shining through. And it's very hard to maintain the mystique, the facade, when the man who is about to meet you at a motel is changing your tire in 84 Diner. It was like Ryan was starting to be revealed, and I was just covering it up, still trying to act like this guy. So he finishes changing my tire, gives me a handshake again, and says, "This isn't how this night was supposed to go, was it?" And I say no. And he asks if I want to have a cup of coffee. So we go into the diner, and if anybody has been in 84 diner before, they have these god-awful fluorescent lights that show everything. And we sat at this booth, and then of course the booth is lined with mirrors. So if you want to go there and lay low or be somebody else, you're faced with your reflection under the ugliest lights ever. And I'm sitting across from Global at this booth, next to myself in the reflection, flaws and all, scars and all. And he says, "So why are you doing this?" And that question hit me like a bullet, because I had never thought about that. That question hurt so much because I didn't have an answer. Why are you doing it? So I made up some lie that I was broke and I was in debt, which, that's like what hustlers say, right? Like they're broke, this is their living. And then I turned it around and I said, "Well, why are you doing this?" And I saw this man with these big brown eyes that looked like a puppy dog. I saw myself staring back at me, and he said, "I don't know. I've never done this before." And it was like me staring back at me, staring back at me. There's no avoiding the reality of this situation. And in that moment, under these lights that have stripped us bare, naked, we were naked without being naked, we began to just talk as Ryan and as this man. Scared, lost people. Two people who were desperately searching for something, to be someone other than who we were, because who I was, I hated. But in that moment, I could be myself. He gave me space to be me. And in that night, we were both each other's heroes. Whether it was 20 minutes over a cup of coffee sitting across from the man who was going to pay me for sex, it was the first time I was able to be vulnerable and have somebody listen to me and validate that. I will never see him again. I wouldn't even know him if I recognized him. But he changed my life. Thank you.